After yesterday's fall, people are starting to get a little bit excited after the B-word meeting where, Cathie Wood and Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey were on, and even Elon Musk said that there was a high chance that Tesla was going to start accepting Bitcoin again. Well, we actually did see a bit of a rise. We saw a bit of a bounce in Bitcoin's price. Now, I don't think it was as much as people were hoping it was, and that's something that I was a little bit surprised about. I thought it would be a little bit better, but I think that there's so many negative catalysts going on right now that this one positive catalyst won't be enough to send it to like 50K again, right? But I do think it's a good step in the right direction. I think we're clearing a lot of things in which we need to in order to really get out of this negative downtrend in which we are seeing. And from that, I'm going to be just talking about today, what we're seeing right now. If I believe that cryptos are done falling, are we now in recovery now that we're finally starting to get some good news? And if we are not, what will it take for us to start to get into recovery? And so we're going to be going over all of that in today's video, and we're starting right now. So one thing in which I talk about on the Patreon loads and loads and loads, and if you do want access to that, again, just go down to the link in the description. You'll go check it out and see what you think, is that I'm big on Fibonacci retracements. I'm super big on it. It's something that has just provenly worked time and time and time again, no matter what crypto, well, except for brand new ones, of course, but no matter what, established crypto, no matter pretty much what stock, we do see that the Fibonacci retracements work like a charm, okay? And so what I want to talk about today is what I'm seeing on the Fibonaccis, how to look at them on the Fibonacci, and then I'll give you guys some examples of what we need to see on the Fibonacci based off what we've seen in the past. So let's go ahead and let's start here. So one thing in which we're seeing on the Fibonacci's at the moment is that we're actually making some very good progress, which is what we love to see. Progress is all I'm concerned about, okay? So let's go to the 4-hour charts and let's kind of zoom in on this thing a bit. So one thing I like to do, just in terms of, looking at the Fibonacci retracement levels, is you just always have to look at it step by step by step. Kind of like that song, like step by step. I'm sorry. Anyway, so one thing we can see here is that I like to just start from the beginning. Let's start from the basics, okay? So the first one is going to be, if we do take it from our high, so what you draw your Fibonacci retracements is you just simply go from your high down to your low. That's the best way to do it, of course. The only way to do it right. And so what you have to do, you'll draw it from your high to your low, and then the only ones that I really use, the only numbers that I pay attention to the most are the 0.618, we have the 786, the 0.5, the 382, and off of extensions, we have the 1618. That's more for long term, okay? And so what we like to see is that as we do fall, right, from here down to here, well, of course, we're going to see a retracement. But you never can really know if it's a retracement or a reversal, or retracement looking like something like this, boom, a reversal looking like something like this, and we set a new high, and then we start to work our way back up. Well, the way that I gauge retracement versus reversal is the engagement that we have off of the 0.618 to the 0.786. This is kind of like my key indicator. Okay, we finally may be looking at something good here. Now, there are multiple steps that go into this, though. Well, the first thing that I look at again is how do we engage with the 786 to the 618. 786, 618 creates this green little box here, okay? And so what I go ahead and do is I draw a little rectangle, bam, and I see, okay, well, what's going on? And so I take that rectangle and I can see very clearly, especially if I remove this Fibonacci now, where this level is. Well, one thing that we can see is that we actually did clear that level. Now, what I say all the time is that on a very, very short-term perspective, if we can clear that 786, which is, again, that top line, if we can clear that 786 and establish support above it, that's step number one of a reversal. Because, again, a retracement is an entrance into this zone and then a continued fall, or an entrance into this zone, this 382 to this 0.5, and then we fall, okay? And so with that, we can see that, here, let me go ahead and draw this box back up real quick. We can see that we have established support in the short term, just right now, on top of this 786. Now, if we lose it, of course, that is going to be a different story, but at the moment, we're holding support. Well, so then, like I said, it's a step-by-step process. So what's the next step? Well, so the next step is we're going to take that same Fibonacci, and instead of drawing it from this high, what I like to do, I just go to the next high. Boom, right up here. So I take this, I line my little cursor up with it, bang, and I'm all the way down. And so what we can see is that on this perspective, what we're looking at here, let's go ahead and just temporarily get rid of this box. We can see here that we're engaging with this zone now. So this was, say if this was like our shortest term, this is like the shorter term, and then this is like midterm, okay? We're going step by step. And so then what we're looking for is, okay, well, how is it engaging here? Well, a very good aspect about this is that we have seemingly established support on the 618. As we can see here, we've wigged down onto it a few times, but we didn't go through it, right? Which is always a great sign. The issue with it is that we're unable just yet to clear the 786. What we can see is that we wicked up to it, we tried to do it, and if I go to the 1 hour, I think it'll paint this picture a little bit better. There we go. We can see that we've wicked up to it a few times, but we were unable to clear it a few times. You know what I mean? But gladly, again, we're establishing support here, and it does seem like we're going to keep working our way back up, and we're setting like that little uptrend, right? So hopefully we retest the 786, and then from there, we are able to see us clear it. That's step number 2. Well, then the next thing that we're going to be looking for is, okay, well, let's keep it very simple then. Let's go ahead, let's take our pin here, and boom. And now one thing I want you to pay attention to is look how perfect these areas line up with each other, just to go to show how important each level is. Look how, even whenever we do zoom this thing out, look how we find this support on this 382 before we see upward continuation. Look at how we hit our heads on this 618 here before we see the break in. You know, all of these levels, even as we don't know they're important at that time, are very important in the grand scheme of things, especially if we are seeing an uptrend begin. Because if I take this, right, if I go back to this very first Fibonacci that I drew, which is right here, we can see that this level, instead of being the 382, this was the 0.5. And so we found short-term support on the 0.5, but when realistically, on a more midterm perspective, it's our 382 right here. You know what I mean? Like, I love just seeing that, and I love seeing how these numbers line up. Well, so then, okay, well, then we go next step. Boom. And I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm not going to do this all the way up here, but I just want you guys to get the hint. Okay. So we're here. Boom. Well, let's look at this on a more midterm. I mean, this is all the way back to the beginning of the month. I mean, so we're looking at maybe a few weeks here. Well, from there, what we're looking at now is that we struggled. We struggled to really close and find support above this 0.5, this line right here. We were struggling to find support above that line, but now it looks like we're setting those higher lows and working our way out of it. And you can see that this may be established as support, which would of course be a great sign, because then on more of a midterm perspective in terms of downtrend, we could be looking to then re-enter into the 618 and work our way to the 786. And so, you know, our cryptos are covering, and are they done falling right now? It does seem that way on the very, very short term. But there's a lot of steps before we can just say like, oh, it's a reversal, we're going all the way back up, right? This is a great step in the first step in the right direction. You know, being able to clear the 786 and establish support, it's the first time we've done it in a while. We were unable to do it on this entire downtrend that we've seen. We failed to do it here, 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 and then here, of course, as we did see that rise. It's the first time we finally cleared this downtrend we were in and are establishing in support. But what we need to be looking for is, can we continue to beat these levels? Every single time that we go up and we establish support on top of a new 786, that's even more of a sign that we are going to be able to work our way out of this downtrend. Then there are ways to look at this on a really long-term perspective. Of course, if we go to the dailies, and I'm going to show you guys some stuff with the RSIs in a second here. But if we go out to the daily, we can look at our really big picture here and go to realize that we're still real far away, right? But I don't like to necessarily look at this big picture too soon, okay? I like to look at this more of, okay, well, how are we? Oh, wait, hold on. How are we engaging with this, establishing support at the 382 right now? How are we engaging with this at the mid channel? How are we engaging with, say, this, working our way into that 618 after establishing support on the 0.5? And so you get the point. So let me show you an example of how this has worked in the past and what it looks like on more of a, on more of a long-term already happened span of things. Okay, so let's go to the 4 hours so we can see this real clear. Chill. Where'd my chart go? Okay, there we go. Okay, I was about to say what's going on. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's look at this, right? So what this is going to look like for us is, okay, how do we start to clear these levels? Well, we can start just by looking at this fall here. Fibonacci's off of this fall. Well, look how whenever we started to fall here, boom, we see this big drop, bang, and then we establish our support. Or we establish our low. Like, okay, where's our lowest low at? So we're falling, we establish our low there, okay? Well, from there, we draw our Fibonacci, and we start to look, how do we interact? We can see from this low, we start to work our way up. We hit our heads on that 786, 618. We fall down to our 382. Then we go up to our 786. We fall back down to our 382, but then we work our way back up, and we finally clear it. Okay, well, once we clear it, that's a good first sign. That's a sign that we're starting to make upward momentum. And as we are going up, let's go ahead. Let's move this thing on up. Bam. Into our next one. Look how this engages so perfectly. Look at these levels. Because right here, instead of us falling all the way back down, to like say our 382, we're going up and we're establishing these little wicks of support at our 0.5, working our way into this zone here. into establishing support on the 618, attempting to clear the 786, but then from there falling all the way back down past our 382. So what I do from there, all right, sure. What I'm about to do is I'm going to go and draw a line back down here because we then failed to clear this zone. So now we need to figure out when are we going to finally clear this 786 and hold it. Well, looky here. We go back down, boom, hit that 382 again before finally clearing it, establishing some support, establishing support at the 618, and really working our way back up, right? That's when we are like, okay, well, let's try this again. So then we go back up, boom. How are we engaging? Well, look how beautiful this is. Look at these levels. So we go up, and once we finally clear that 786, this is like a 786 right around here. We clear it. And then we go, and on a more long-term, more of a mid-term perspective, we're looking at this Fibonacci, and we finally find support on top of this 618. We go up, we hit our heads, we find resistance at the 786, we finally clear it, we break out. Well, as you guys do know, all right, boom, on to the next. Let's work our way up here. Bam. Well, look how beautiful this is. Because now, instead of, let me erase some of this real quick. There we go, boom, boom. Boom. Okay. We can see that instead of this being, say our 786 or a 618, now this is our 0.5. Boom, boom, boom. But now we come up, establish support on that 618. We test that 786, not ready. Establish support on the 618. And now we're working our way up. So do you guys see how it's so important that we go level for level? We clear the 618, we clear the 786, we establish support. We're going to the next one. We move our Fibonacci's to that next local high. 618, 786, next local high, 618, 786, and there's steps. And so I want to go to say, the whole video is really gone to say that, yes, we are making great steps, and this is the first step in the right direction in which we were actually able to clear one of our local 618, 786s, okay? This is the first time we've done it in a month or two, since June 29th, okay? But one thing we have to understand is that on a more midterm perspective looking at this thing, that it's not enough to say, okay, we're in a full-blown reversal, okay? And so in terms of can we continue upwards, well, it all depends on what happens next, in my opinion. Now, let me explain. So if we go out to the dailies, I kind of just want to talk about a few things in terms of where we are at, right? Because what we can see is that it's starting to somewhat roll over at the moment, right? So if we look at our daily RSI, we've been stuck within this trend line on the RSI for the last, let's say, June 30th. So I would say roughly mid-June to now. So about a month and a week or so, about 5 weeks, okay? And so that has kind of disallowed us to make these new highs because we're running into pressure here. We're unable to continue that buying pressure upwards, and we're hitting our heads on this line. Well, currently speaking, it looks like we're hitting our head, or we're getting pretty close to hitting our head on that line again, which would in turn mean that the upward momentum could be slowing down to the point that we may start to fall. Well, then it becomes very important is that if we start to look at it maybe on a 4-hourly, like if it does start to fall, where do we fall to? Because if, we do see something along these lines, sure, this is fine. Maybe we do that. Our RSI starts to fall. We have our stochastic, our stock RSI on the 4-hour is in overbought territory, meaning a fall is likely to happen sometime soon. But say if we fall down to our 618 and we establish support here, our stock RSI starts to fall. Our RSI starts to fall as well on that daily. But then it allows us to get that back buying pressure. We get this support established, and then we're working our way back up to allow our stock RSI to grow again, to clear this, to work our way up, to establish support. That's fine. But the issue is right now, as this fall is likely about to come, we could be falling by the time I post this video, is that, I could be wrong, I guess. Like the stock RSI could just be up here for a while, which it's usually not. Like if we look at it here, it's already in it longer than it usually is. The fall usually comes sooner than this. It all depends on if we can establish support. What I want to see us establish support at, to say, okay, the uptrend and the falling could be over, is 1, 2. I'm gonna give you guys exact numbers. 2, 3. This is where, in the short term, I want to see us be able to maintain. Sorry, my voice has been terrible the last couple of days. Okay, so what these 3 numbers are is, boom, I'd like to see us hold to 31.28.3. Boom, the 30,888. Or boom, 30,483. I would like to see us be able to find support on one of these, because if that is the case, I do believe that we would be able to fall, touch, bounce, fall, touch, bounce, or fall, touch, bounce. If we lose those, that does put us in a weird situation, because then we have to zoom our fibs all the way down to this high here, and you can see that we start to run out of options. We would start to run out of support options real soon in order to really establish that uptrend, okay? And so that's what I'm looking for right now. The fall is coming. It's probably going to happen maybe within the next day or two based off the stock RSI, especially on the 4-hourly. So what I want to see is that if we do fall, man, my voice is going out. If we do fall, can we establish support? And if we're able to establish support from there, can we continue upward and start to work our step pattern in order to clear some of those 786, those 618s, and see how it goes? So yes, I do believe the falling is done for now. This long-term falling we're seeing, because we are taking the right steps in the right direction for a reversal. But there are many, many, many steps that we need to take to continue this, that we need to monitor to make sure that we are able to do so over the next few weeks. And so my voice is pretty much done for the day. I'm not sure what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap this video up here. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. And of course, if you did, you can let me know by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new. Again, I go over this pretty much every single day on my Patreon. So if that is something you'd be interested in, go down to the link in the description. Go check it out and let me know what you think. But with that being said, I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.